Hi, good morning. This is the Bitcoin Morning Brief. I'm Leah Wald. We have Tone Vase and Rodolfo, and maybe a surprise guest, Dobervan Rvatska. Obviously, we were all pretty much for Brazil, but that was a sadness. So at least I'm hoping for Croatia today. Jimmy, wait, is it Rodolfo? Jimmy?
Oh, hi.
I'm confused.
Yeah, no, I'm Jimmy.
Good. We
I
got
can
Jimmy
prove
on
his signatures.
All right, guys, I'm gonna
the
have
real
to
G.
walk in here and talk about how Rodolfo is stealing my entire look and brand here. I don't know about this. Rodolfo, what's up with the hat?
I was just back from the Bitcoin rodeo. It was the conference in Calgary that they put together with the Stampede.
Oh man, my wife's actually from that area, and she used to go to that rodeo. So it's kind of sad that, I mean, I'm the one crypto cowboy, and I'm not there for the crossover event. Kind of sad.
Next year, I need to join you guys there. Is that an annual thing?
I think this is the second one. Maybe it was a lot of fun. They know how to party there.
And Leah, why are you cheering for Croatia? I mean, are you not cheering for a France versus England final?
I do think that's going to happen. I'm not going to lie, but there is a reason. First of all, I do love Croatia. I'm not going to lie, as a country, but two, because I went to business school in Madrid, and that was 2012 through 13. Modric was there on Real Madrid, even though I'm an Athletic fan, and that was when he was like, people they only like put him on because he was like really energetic. And then he started kicking ass like really bad. And then he became like absolutely amazing. So I really do love Modric. Okay. Long-winded answer. Tone, you are not wearing.
No. Come on. We should, let's get into the news. We only have Jimmy for a little bit. And I know I do want to, I'm going to be rooting for England because like one of our biggest followers, the Bad Virus, he's from London or that area, so I'm gonna support him. He's been supporting our show for years.
All right, I love it. All right, Cowboys and Tone, let's do it.
Yes.
All right, Litecoin. So Litecoin Foundation, they've acquired a 9.9% of bank in payments partnership. So it's a German bank, and this was actually as a result of an agreement with TokenPay. Doesn't really go into the specifics, but the funds from the acquisition came from TokenPay's token sale back in December. Lovely. And Tone, what do you think about this acquisition?
This is like so weird. I don't get it. Like I remember Charlie Lee was in some kind of a controversy involving either the Litecoin Foundation being board members of something weird. It might have been them being board members of TokenPay. I'm not too familiar with TokenPay, but they have an ICO token, which by default makes them a scam. I don't understand how the Litecoin Foundation is involved. And now they're so they printed money for a token. They converted that into real money. And now they're buying a 10% stake in a real bank. Like, this is getting so weird. Like, I don't know where it's going.
The Litecoin Foundation, well, Litecoin and Charlie, like they've been sort of like an honest actor for a long time in this space. But then Charlie dumped his coins, and I don't know, like anything called TokenPay sounds like a scam. Maybe they're just like they're just leveraging the foundation's name, but they actually don't have anything to do with it. Do you know how sometimes all this sort of like sketchy companies just say, "Oh yeah, we have Jimmy. He's on our board of directors."
Yeah, no. But like, I mean, if Litecoin Foundation wasn't on board with this, there's no way these articles would be published, right? Because look. It says Charlie Lee even quoted in this article, like he's for this.
Yeah. Jimmy, oh, sorry, Rodolfo. You were saying something?
It's hard to tell. I mean, I'd want to speak with them.
Like it's just like it's really getting weird. Like it's I don't get it. Like I just don't understand. Like like a Litecoin, like a Bitcoin Foundation is literally nothing, right? Does anyone even care that the term Bitcoin Foundation exists? Is Bruce Fenton still the president of the Bitcoin Foundation, or is he now the president of the Ethereum Foundation?
No, he uses Ravencoin.
Oh, he's the president of Ravencoin Foundation.
It's Ravencoin president, but it's okay. We're working on getting him on RGB. Me and Zuko, we're gonna get him on RGB.
Jimmy,
Yeah, let's get Jimmy's thoughts on this. Like, I don't know what to say to this.
Jimmy, what were your thoughts when you read the piece?
This is the first time hearing about it, to be honest. But yeah, this is what happens when you have a lot of people that are, you have centralized entities, and centralized entities kind of do stuff like this. Litecoin Foundation is more or less a centralized entity that has, I guess, some amount of influence over Litecoin. Ethereum Foundation has it over Ethereum, and all of these other foundations have it over all of these other ones. The fact that the Bitcoin Foundation blew up spectacularly in a nice giant dumpster fire is a testament to how decentralized Bitcoin is compared to almost everything else, including Litecoin. Litecoin, I don't know what the hell they're doing with this. I don't know what their vision is. I'm sure we could have Charlie on and have him explain what the heck this is all about. But I mean, when you have a foundation, that's by nature a centralized entity, and they can go and buy 10% stake in some firm that supposedly does something that's related to what they're about. But let's not kid ourselves. This is a centralized entity. And that's what I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what their plans are, but this is a typical thing that happens with centralized entities.
Yeah, I'll jump back in there for a second. And besides that, I don't want to, I don't care that Litecoin Foundation has control of Litecoin. I'm trying to focus on understanding this mess. And what the hell is their goal? What is the purpose of Litecoin getting involved in a bank? I mean, are they going to try to bring Litecoin to a bank? How is that going to end? You're not doing Bitcoin any favors by getting your bank that you partially own to use an insecure method of payment or a total scam method of payment if you're going to incorporate token into that banking system, right? You're not doing Bitcoin any favors, because when your stupidity blows up and that bank goes out of business, it's going to fall back and make Bitcoin look bad. So what the hell are you doing?
So,
the hilarious thing is this article right here that Leah just pulled up. It says Token Pay describes itself as Bitcoin on steroids, a decentralized and self-verifying payment platform project. Okay.
With the CEO, Token Pay CEO Derek Capo explained.
Yeah. Well, the hilarious thing, of course, is that it has a CEO, and you're not decentralized if you have a CEO. And you're also not decentralized if somebody could take a 9.9% stake in you. Okay, that's not.
You can't have a good point. You can't have a good
point. The other way around. Jimmy, they took a 9.9% stake in a bank.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, it means that they exist, right? That means that there's a central entity, and that's not decentralized. I mean, you go arrest the CEO, and you can do whatever the hell you want with. You can regulate them to hell if you want to. That's it's not really decentralized if you have a CEO, you have a company, if you're taking a stake in something. And I think people really don't understand or they're throwing around the word decentralized as if it means something other than what it actually means.
Like token pay is obviously a scam. What the hell are the Litecoin people doing?
See, I mean, if you're doing decentralized and you have a foundation, you're doing it wrong, right? I mean, we already know this from Bitcoin. There is no need for your foundation, right? I mean, if you want to go do marketing and for Bitcoin, right, or for Litecoin, sure, go spend your money and, maybe we all win. But I mean, foundations, they're the wrong mechanism for you to do anything on this space. Now, the part that I don't know about this is one is like how true the story is, because again, a lot of this sort of token ICO entities, they lie to reporters. Bitcoin Magazine does seem to do a better job at checking facts, but still, I mean, you never know. Another thing is, I don't know if Charlie has anything to do with this. I don't know if he's even part of the foundation anymore after he dumped all his coins and sort of left.
I think in the other article, it said he's still on the Litecoin Foundation board.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've seen people being explained in articles in this space very differently than reality.
So if I could jump in, Tone, as a follow-up to what you were talking about of regarding the synergies or lack thereof of Litecoin and and token pay, we have this quote that I do find crazy. So, and I'll skim through it, but what Token Pay CEO is saying, we are building an entire ecosystem that includes merchant services, banking, escrow, gaming, esports, et cetera, entire control of the vertical integration needed to lower costs and also control our destiny. And then goes on to Litecoin and says that because of their followers worldwide, this will help increase the chances of Token Pay's ecosystem to succeed. All right, so with a tiny bit more information that actually still utterly confuses me, does that shed any more light, or, what does this even mean that they want to do everything under the sun?
It means I just lost like pretty much most respect for Charlie Lee. It sounds like he's literally taking the money from Token Pay to work with them as, I don't know, something. Like, I'm sorry, Token Pay is whatever that project is totally ridiculous. And they're leveraging the Litecoin ecosystem because they're friends with their board, I guess. And maybe they put in a bunch of money into the Litecoin Foundation and they own like a 51% stake in Litecoin's money. Like, I don't know. Like, Token Pay has a token. I know that part. I read that in the other article. So they printed their own money, and what they decided to do with that money, instead of buy Lambos first, they decided to go and bribe the Litecoin Foundation because no one cares about Litecoin. Like, they care about Bitcoin. And now they're just leveraging their relationship with the Litecoin Foundation to use the other money, to go and buy 10% of a bank. Like, what was it? Tron used their self-printed money to buy BitTorrent. And these guys are using their printed money to buy 10% of a bank. Like, I don't know at what point this is going to end, but it's going to end very badly. And I don't know if it's going to end in a regulatory way, or is it going to end in, destroying the ecosystem of altcoins. And like if these shit coins progress deep enough into the traditional financial system, you will wish you were back in 2008.
Right. Yeah. Very interesting. And again, I think that a little bit more digging needs to take place here. It's saying the Token Pay is to access Litecoin. They're saying on one hand that Charlie Lee is excited that people can buy and use Litecoin, but we know about the token. So I guess we'll follow this. And lastly, just that the article said that they plan on buying the entire bank, but there's German regulators, you can only do 9.9%. So moving on to BCash stress test. So Bitcoin Cash Pico stress test claims to show that node centralization. So BitPico says that 98% of the shown nodes are sitting in the same server rack. And as a reminder, BitPico, right, had formerly made kind of a reputation for themselves as a champion of SegWit2x. But after a failed attempt to this, right, like the group, I guess, went silent. It's still like their pinned tweet, but returned, I believe, for their pro Lightning capacity in March, where they stress test Lightning. Guys, please jump in when I am getting things wrong, obviously. Rodolfo, also, I do remember when we covered this story, I did like it, that when they began the BCash attack, they announced that Roger Ver will now cry. So I'll get you laughing before I start you off here. Rodolfo, what did you think? And also, can you explain what this means that this many nodes are sitting in the same server rack?
So this is something we already suspected, and I think somebody did some testing way back as well. When their nodes started showing on the network, when they were launching BCash, people noticed that all the stuff looks very similar, and looked into it, and essentially what these guys are doing is you have one actor owning all the nodes probably on AWS. That's it. There is no community, there's no users. As we all knew, it's just BCash is crickets, right? I mean, one of the best things they've ever done for Bitcoin was create the website that had the big highway of big blocks for BCash, and then the tiny little road for Bitcoin, and the tiny little road gets all the cars, and the big BCash highway has nothing. So anyways, yeah. So what these guys just did, what Pico just did, is that they just proved that BCash is fully centralized. It has no users running nodes. It has no distribution and no decentralization. Funny enough, Pico actually blocked me on Twitter a while back. I think it's because of the 2x. They were 2x supporters, and I wasn't.
Thanks, Rodolfo. Jimmy, what did you think? And also, when we first covered this, Tone was very excited, and you made a very interesting comment, which you and Giacomo talked about the negatives of just attacking and the vehement, this being utilized. But it does look like right now this showed to prove the centralization. So, what do you think about also BitPico's, the important findings, I guess?
I mean, I don't really care that much about the Bitcoin Cash, to be honest. And like whatever it is that they're doing, like they do whatever they do. I've said this in other videos. They're focused on a very weird model of economics in their mind. They think that payments and spending are the key to prosperity, which is very Keynesian. I think I'm very much more Austrian. I think capital accumulation and saving up to make more money and doing things that way is, and using it as a store of value is much more important. We have these two things. I get that BitPico is trying to show that it's very centralized and everything, but I already know that, right? Like we already know that Bitcoin Cash is pretty centralized, that they have like one developer, that they have minuscule numbers of users, that all the people that have like Spedin on their shirts or whatever, like they're a tiny minority, at least by the blockchain statistics that we're able to see, that their coin isn't worth very much. I don't think you really need to do this, but if BitPico wants to, they are completely free to, and if they found an attack vector, that's fine. The thing that I said with Giacomo a while back is that if you attack something and they're able to survive it, then you're actually kind of making them stronger. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they necessarily have the firepower to. Or the white blood cells, if you will, to be able to survive it and become more anti-fragile. But that's sort of the risk that you're taking by attacking them in this way. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I'm with you there. It's past time. I mean, like we're done talking about BCash now for quite some time. It's they lost. Maybe BitPico is just trying to regain some credibility after the 2x, and So a good way of doing that is just continue to hit the piñata. It's BCash.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Rodolfo. And even though we may be done talking about BCash, let's turn it to Tone really quickly to also comment on this BCash story.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a good point that hey, if this stress test doesn't actually do much to destroy BCash, are they making them, will they now have more firepower, say, hey, we had no problem surviving this attack? So that's a good point that Jimmy made. It is a bit of a concern, but I still think this is worthwhile doing because like all of us on this show constantly talk about how centralized all of these coins are. And even a decent chunk of our viewers still don't believe it, right? But maybe if they can show some actual quantifiable metrics to prove that BCash is centralized, even if they survive the attack, I still think there'll be more good than harm to come out of this. If you scroll down that Twitter feed, Leah, if you go to like another, well, not this one, but if you just scroll through the actual, not through that specific tweet, but if you scroll through the actual Twitter feed, they mention how they're suspecting that some of their nodes are being forcibly kicked off of the network. If you just scroll down a little bit, I don't know where that tweet is, but they say that, hey, we think maybe it's that one. Ban 800 nodes. Maybe one of those, right? So there was a tweet that they're sending out saying, hey, some of our nodes are being forcibly banned by the BCash people blocking certain IP addresses. So little things like this, will go a long way. It's kind of like we all knew Ethereum was centralized, but thank God the DAO was able to prove it to us, right? And now we have an actual quantifiable metric that we can always go back to. Now, the Ethereum nuts ignore the fact that Vitalik rolled back the chain, but at least we can end the argument by saying, hey, we know it's decentralized, we have proof. So if they can prove that their IP addresses were literally banned by the BCash people, it's going to be just proof that we can use going forward without just saying we know what it is. Now we have quantifiable metrics.
You can't actually prove anything anymore on Ethereum because you can't run a node. So, we can't even make arguments against them anymore with data because you can't run a node. I can't get any data. It just doesn't work.
Good call. And now we're done talking about BCash. Thanks, Rodolfo. So torrent site PirateBay warns users about Monero mining software. So the torrent website, the PirateBay, has had cryptojacking, whereby the user's computer power was harnessed for mining Monero. So they just issued a disclaimer at the very bottom of its homepage on the website, and it says, quote, by entering TPB, you agree to Monero being mined using your CPU, end quote. Jimmy, hijacking, what is happening here?
Yeah, so basically there's like some JavaScript running in your browser or something whenever you go to that site. And basically they're mining Monero with your CPU power. And, this is how mining works when you don't have ASICs. It's that you have botnets and Java, high crypto jacking and like, I don't know, eventually there will be some sort of like GPU jacking or something like that. This is typical. This happens a lot. And I understand that a lot of these coins want to protect themselves from sort of a Bitmain monopoly or something like that, because they do have a lot of expertise in creating ASICs and stuff. But when you try to make something more and more ASIC resistant, you also make yourself more vulnerable to stuff like this. And that, oh gosh, am I offline right now?
No, you're good.
You're
okay. You guys looked exactly like frozen. Oh no. All right.
Riveted.
But yeah, I mean, all right. So this is what happens when would you? It's kind of like choosing between a rock and a hard place a little bit for a lot of people, because like, would I rather have Bitmain control the hardware, or would I have like some virus writer or exploit expert or something like that? Because that's kind of what's happening here. Nice thing is we get to see the consequences of this kind of thing as we go forward. And Monero is planning a hard fork every 6 months, so this sort of thing will go on because they're going to keep changing their proof of work, which means that it will be sort of CPU mineable, and this sort of thing will happen more often.
Thanks, Jimmy. Rodolfo, follow up to Jimmy, and also, can we lessons learned from what's happening?
So, I mean, I'm not necessarily against this. I mean, as long as you're disclaiming to the users, power to you. I mean, you got to generate funds somehow.
Wait, I'm sorry, Rodolfo. How many users of Pirate Bay read disclaimer? And even
listen, that's
what the hell is going on here?
If we're for freedom of individual here, this is one of those cases that if you and it's not like you're paying for content either, So I don't necessarily have a problem with this, but I'm also very skeptical at the amount of hashing power they're getting out of this. Like, I think they're just essentially making people's homes warm. They're not really mining any Monero. And Monero is now, it's essentially centralized coin again too. They do all these forks all the time. And it's also in its last legs. I mean, that's really what I have to say about Monero. The Monero was a great sort of needed thing for the dark markets, and you needed privacy. But there's a lot of privacy coming to Bitcoin. There's a lot of cool stuff coming in. Lightning also provides a lot of privacy. And once this thing's a little bit more tested, there's no need for Monero anymore, and then Monero bye-bye. It's not really something, I guess, important.
Thanks. Tone, thoughts?
I'm just curious, like, this can't be good for your CPU and your computer, right? Or it's indifferent?
I mean, honestly, just if you go to a newspaper, like a mainstream newspaper, it would probably do more damage to your computer than mining Monero.
Honestly, most websites, when you serve up ads, are probably using just the CPU.
I'm too lazy to go check right now, but I think a single tweet page on Twitter, like one tweet on a page, is like 100 megabytes or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the web has been out of control in terms of like weight and processing power with all this freaking like CSS animations and all this stuff. And then you get the ads on top, and then you have video on top. So you know what? Just visiting a standard website without ad blocking, it's probably more demanding on your computer than Monero mining.
Rodolfo, just quick follow-up. Would people stop using PirateBay and maybe use Cody now that they know that this is happening, or any other?
Don't think so. I don't think that people are just going to block the JavaScript.
Yeah, that's relatively easy to do. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you just go no JavaScript, and boom, then it's how you should be navigating.
Get a new plugin or something. Yeah, very easy.
Yeah, but they can counter that real easy. Like, for example, I can't go to Business Insider, I can't go to Forbes unless I whitelist their website on my ad blocker.
Well, so the thing is, don't go to those websites. It's not like the content is great in those websites anymore anyways.
All right. Well, more tech and more explanations, please. Schnorr signature verification. I will turn it back to you, Rodolfo. Can you explain what's happening here? What's the latest?
So in an M chain, this is pretty cool because, in Bitcoin.
Yeah, there's a big difference there, right?
Yeah, big difference. Wrong chain. So it's nice to see all the Bitcoin implementations implementing Schnorr and sort of starting to use and play with it, because this is a very, very big change to Bitcoin, and it's a pretty nice one. I mean, just the efficiency we're gonna get, and there's a lot of cool privacy stuff you're gonna be able to do on top of that. Actually, in Bitcoin, I think Para and Para, what's his name again?
No Para.
No Para. So No Para from Wasabi is also a .NET person. So I assume that this is the library they're probably using as well. I just hope to see all this in this .NET stuff coming out of .NET into normal languages again, so we can all use it.
Thanks, Rodolfo. And Jimmy, I actually first saw this on your mailer, which I love and get. Follow up to Rodolfo, can you explain, and what are your thoughts? You are frozen actually right now. Okay, you're back.
All right, my internet connection sucks, but yeah. I didn't hear your question, but if you can scroll down just a little bit, one of the things that's in this is that they don't do batch verification, but they did sort of include it in a lot of other stuff. I've actually had students that have taken my course, and I've given the Schnorr signature talk at the end of it, and they've gone on to like just sort of implement it on their own. It's nice that Peter Woola has put in a pull request or put in a BIP so that we can all standardize on a particular form of Schnorr. The really exciting thing about Schnorr is that you can have key and signature aggregation, which is amazing. Because what you can do then is have a Schnorr signature utilizing Musig. You can't tell if it's one of one or if it's like 7 of 7. You really can't tell from just the signature, and that gives us all sorts of. Yeah, it looks like one signature.
Signature, but there is a lot of stuff going on in there.
Yeah. So it looks like one pub key and one signature, but it could be 7 pub keys with 7 signatures in the back that have been aggregated together. And obviously that makes it really awesome because, first of all, there's no penalty for multi-sig like there is in Bitcoin right now. And second of all, you get all sorts of privacy properties out of that. And if you combine that with something like, Graftroot or Taproot or something, you can have multiple executions within like a masked framework with different execution paths for a particular, script. And that.
Are they bound by the 1,000 outputs per transaction?
No. Well, if you implement masked on top of Schnorr, what you can do is that you only expose the path that you are executing against. So you could have like 18 different conditions under which something can be unlocked for spending or whatever, but you only reveal the path that you actually utilize. So combining that with Schnorr, you can have some really, really cool things. So very excited about this. But yeah, this is just one particular implementation. Happy that they're doing it. I think some of my students have honestly done a lot of the same stuff, like just in Python with the libraries that they write during my class. So, this is an encouragement for you to go and take my class if you're interested in implementing some of this stuff and making it happen.
Thank you, Jimmy. Tone, am I going to see your commits in here? Can you talk about your thoughts on Schnorr?
Man, I got to find something real simple so I can sneak my name into like the Bitcoin Bitcoin repository somehow. But no, I was just going to ask, I'm going to ask you guys, like, so we keep hearing about all this amazing stuff, and is it all going to be stuffed together into like one soft fork? And are we going to have another problem getting this cool shit in again? Or like, what's the plan?
I think things have a lot more consensus these days. It won't be painless. But I've yet to hear somebody objecting to integrating Schnorr into Bitcoin. So that's a good sign. I mean, that's it. Like I think we're past now. Like once we got the dum-dums out into their own chain, I think there is not a lot of contention. I mean, listen, all BIPs go through a lot of peer review, to say the least, right? I mean, like, people really go on it. Everybody has different opinions. That's fine. That's what we want, right? If people disagree, but fundamentally, like, the people who are left now in this space, when they sort of see that, there is a majority who sort of think that this is fine, maybe not be the best, like the way that they think is best done, but it's good enough for them. They feel like there's no security implementation, like security problem with that. I think most people sort of, just let go and we move forward now.
Yeah, and this is one of the nice things about what happened with SegWit is that a lot of these people left.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And one of the things about Schnorr is that now that we have SegWit, the upgrade path is very clear. You just make it SegWit version 1. And you go, okay, now SegWit version 1 has an execution path that includes Schnorr signatures. Very, very easy. before, without SegWit, you would have had to create a new opcode and then I think you could have done it as a soft fork, but it would have been very complicated and people wouldn't have known how to implement it. Yeah, it would have been very, very much more messy. But because we cleaned up a lot of things with SegWit, with its own execution path, upgrade path, and you can, if it's SegWit version 1, you execute it this way. If it's SegWit version 2, you can execute it this way. That makes things so much simpler from a coding perspective. It's a lot easier to analyze. It's a lot easier to secure. This is why SegWit was such an important point in Bitcoin, and the fact that Bitcoin Cash didn't see fit to include that in theirs kind of shows you what they were all about. They don't care about all of these security properties and interesting privacy properties that we can come up with, and as a result of SegWit. So they made their bed. They have to go lie in it. So we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Jimmy. And I'd like to hear more of your thoughts. What's up with mempool?
Well, the mempool looks pretty reasonable. It looks like it's clearing every hour or so. It depends on how quickly blocks are found and so on. But it looks like you can get something in for somewhere around 7 to 8 Satoshi per byte with no problem on the next block. If you're willing to wait until a few hours or so, I would say 1 or 2 or 3, and you will plenty, yeah. And I've gotten plenty of transactions in for very, very little, so no problems there. Mempool looks fine. I'm sure. I wonder how much of it has moved on to Lightning, and these people that are utilizing it for Lightning transactions or whatever, but. I don't know. That might be having an effect because it looks lower than it was maybe even a month ago.
Thanks, Jimmy. Oh, Rodolfo?
Yeah. No, let's go back to the other one. So I've been hearing whispers, around some devs about the possibility of maybe splitting further than a Satoshi.
You could do that in the Lightning channel, but it would be very difficult to do without some sort of extra field or extension block type proposal.
Wait, so we're saying that 1 Satoshi per byte is now too expensive?
Yeah.
No. Transaction?
I mean,
that's just a way to measure it. You can put 1 Satoshi for the entire transaction.
I got ripped by some technical people saying that it's actually pretty much impossible to go less than 1 Satoshi.
I mean, to be honest, I haven't really looked into it to try to understand if that would be seriously problematic. But
you could do it, but I mean, the math becomes pretty tricky.
You become, yes. But I mean, just from a market perspective, just this last whole month, you could have had sub Satoshi fees and gone.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, that's more a UI problem because you could have a fee of 1 Satoshi for the entire 1,000 byte transaction. You could do that. It's just that none of the wallets really support that. Granularity, so that's the problem.
Because nobody thought the transaction fees would actually be this cheap this far into the system,
and we're still at 40% SegWit,
right? Because we're still waiting on BitPay and stupid blockchain.info to implement SegWit.
So just imagine, in a few months from now, well, actually might be a little longer, but let's say. Essentially, everybody's using SegWit, so it's about 90% SegWit. And then we have Schnorr, which also has substantially savings on the transaction sizes. I mean, you're going to essentially have, a lot of transactions and blocks will look like the mempool look pretty bleak. In terms
I mean, we're going to have to start worrying about fee market stuff again. If it's up for a very long time.
Are we gonna have to lower 1 megabyte block size?
I mean, that's something that you could do as a software, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, there are enough improvements coming along that you have a continuously downward pressure on fees. And I don't know, like, and this is part of the economic model of Bitcoin, is that fees are supposed to sustain miners at a certain point. We have like 6 years to go before
we also
fees are under Bitcoin.
We also don't need as much mining. We have too much mining. We don't need as much mining.
So it will be very easy to tell if we have too much mining if we have in less than 4 years. And that's factoring in the fact that BCash took like 8 to 10% of the hashing power, and we can still have in less than 4 years, which means there was like at least 15% extra hash power than anticipated by Satoshi's code.
Well, in 5 years, maybe Bitcoin is $10 million, and then you're going to need to really divide that Satoshi down because it's going to get complicated.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to say. The other thing yeah, you got to go, Jimmy?
Yeah, I gotta get going, but I want to hear your thought first, though.
All right, no, I was just gonna say another thing. I was gonna say was you will have to deal with one Satoshi cost. If one Bitcoin is upwards of $1 to $10 million, then one Satoshi is gonna be pretty damn expensive. So you will have
one Satoshi at $10 million is still only 10 cents.
But transactions in 10 cents per byte.
No. You could just have a 10-cent fee still.
Right.
Like,
you'd have to change that. But so that's one thing. And the other thing I was gonna say on oh man, shoot. Now you know what? I lost my train of thought on the other one. That was the one thing I was gonna mention. And the other thing when you were saying about too much mining, I think it's fine, but yeah, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually of the opinion that safety is right. You want mining to be very difficult, hard, and expensive, because that's what gives Bitcoin its value. Is that if it were easy, then everyone would be doing it. In which case, it's not very valuable.
Oh, I remember the other thing I was gonna say. We have way more than 6 years before we have to worry about a fee market, because I'm anticipating one Bitcoin to go up. So if one Bitcoin is over $100,000 in 12 years, that's still a pretty damn good mining reward.
It is.
Yeah, it is. And you look at fees from like 2 years ago, like what people were paying, it's like 40,000 Satoshi. And then you're like, on a per Satoshi basis, it's actually gone down in the last few years. On a Bitcoin basis, rather. You're paying 40,000 Satoshi 2 years ago. You're paying like 400 Satoshi now. It's like it's gone down significantly. So
another beautiful
very interesting.
Another beautiful thing is that because it's so cheap not to make transactions, spamming is not as much of a problem.
Yes.
Because they're competing very low there. It becomes complicated to force people to outbid you there on the spamming for the mempool.
Yeah, so that's kind of a blessing and a curse. So it's great when the fees are low. It sucks when the fees get higher. So it's a compounding effect, a forcing function, if you will, that makes it much less of a problem when it's not a problem, but much more of a problem when it is. So anyway, I gotta go, guys. Thanks for having me. I miss being on the show, and yeah, I'll be putting out more videos and stuff, but they're like 5-minute things that I can do whenever. Unfortunately, this one's more on a schedule, so I have to go vacation.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks, Jimmy.
The song is done.
Bye, Jimmy. That was really interesting. Rodolfo.
Can I just bring back something here quickly? The token pay. So I asked some people, and so it looks like the actual craft of this whole story is that the Litecoin Foundation partnered up with Token Pay to buy a stake in the bank to then use debit cards. So kind of like remember the Bitcoin debit card?
Well, there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of Bitcoin debit card
companies. It looks like this partnership was made to have a Litecoin debit card, essentially. So that's what it's looking like. It doesn't look like it's an actual token sale or something like that.
Well, no. This isn't a token, but Token Pay, the decentralized organization of Token Pay, has an ICO token.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I'm not like vouching or sort of whatever. It's a token company with token in the name. I'm sure there's problems there. No, I was just talking about the actual partnership because I wasn't fully understanding what was going on before.
Well, yeah, I mean, Litecoin is so irrelevant. They will do anything, including partner up with outright scams in order to try and be a little more relevant for a stupid purpose, because when this dumb project fails, it's going to look a little bad on Bitcoin.
Well, and okay, yes, Rodolfo?
I mean, there is enough weird things, bad things that sort of like, are way more detracting from Bitcoin's image than this. I don't know. I don't have enough information about this, I guess, to have a better opinion.
Rodolfo, one last question to you on this then, just high level. Obviously, there's been issues with using and creating debit cards before. Thoughts on this initiative, if that's actually what they're trying to do?
I mean, so one nice thing is because they own a stake in the bank, like a big stake in the bank, it's very unlikely that the banking relationship will be closed. So what happened to a lot of the Bitcoin debit cards is that, you have the company gets in touch with a bank, they make a relationship like with Visa, and then they make the debit cards, they get users, everybody's happy using it, and then Visa announces we're going to kill all the debit cards. So now that you own a chunk of the bank, the chances of that happening are much smaller.
I don't think so. I don't think they're smaller. I mean, that bank still uses a Visa or a MasterCard logo on it, and Visa and MasterCard may have a say.
I don't know.
Also, if the regulation of Germany comes in and says, don't do this, they're going to be like...
then you get shut down. You definitely get shut down. But you increase your odds, right? Of like banking relationship for Bitcoin companies, even the non-scammy ones, is hard enough.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll follow. This is interesting, obviously, given that BIS's statements recently and central banks and everybody has not been the most intelligent, nor has it been promotionary of cryptocurrencies, except for their kind of own that they're trying to say and pass as digital currencies, but also with totally not understanding because they keep calling it decentralized, but issued by a central bank. So that's a fun one. All right, Rodolfo, I have to, just keep evoking you. Yeah. I mean, because you're so charitable in the Bitcoin space, potentially giving the most valuable resource, which is your time. Now we have a story from CryptoKitty to Barking Dog from Forbes, how blockchain is helping sustainability efforts. I want to just point out a quote and I want your thoughts on it. So Honu, right? So this is a very expensive CryptoKitty. I will just say I'm a dog person, not a cat person, but yes, I will continue. Is the very first in a lineage of CryptoKitty icons representing the charities and causes they embody. What do you think about this charity initiative?
I mean, this is the usual thing, right? You sprinkle a little bit of blockchain and everything is fixed. And that picture there with what's his name again?
Richard Branson. Yeah, I can pull
with Branson and all the women in blockchain is also it's just too funny. What's kind of cool there, you can see Stark from Lightning, and I forgot the person from what was it? BitC, the
Bitfury, I believe.
So I mean, I heard from them that they were really sort of trying to represent real sound money there and push Bitcoin as opposed to blockchain magic sprinkles.
Magic sprinkles. Perfect. Well, thank you, Rodolfo. And Mr. Vase, DJ Vase, you want to hit us with price? There was an interesting bit of price action this morning.
Yeah, let's go and take a look. All right, so here's the weekly chart. As you can see, what is today? Tuesday?
Wednesday?
All right.
The 11th.
So in 3 days, we are already, all of last week's gains have already disappeared, right? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we can't go all the way back up and close as a green candle. However, chances are that we're even gonna completely engulf the prior week's green candle. Like, I would not be surprised if we close below 6,000 this week, because the environment continues to be bearish. Later on, the next time we do, because we were talking Litecoin today, I went and took a look at the price of Litecoin in US dollars, and it's bad. It's really bad. So on the next Trading Bitcoin show, I'm actually going to compare the current trend of Bitcoin with the USD trend of Litecoin. And Litecoin might be leading here as to where Bitcoin is going to go. Now, Litecoin is probably going to go close to zero, but the technical down wave of Bitcoin will probably be following the technical down wave of Litecoin, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. So we are now at 63.43, and we're starting to slow down a little bit in our descent in the price of Bitcoin. But once again, if you compare it to the historical situation in Bitcoin, the 30-week moving average crossed the 50-week moving average on the week of August 25th back in 2014. So I believe we're going to cross a little bit sooner. I believe that moving average will probably cross a little bit sooner, either the last week of July or maybe the first week of August. And you can see how the price accelerated to the downside very quickly right after that cross. And we'll probably experience the same thing. Let's hope that 5,000 will be sustainable support, but probably not. So that's my longer term perspective. Here's the daily outlook. We got rejected from the 50-day moving average. We are back at this blue line. I talked about this blue line last video. The moment we go below 6,300, the price should accelerate. It looks like yesterday we touched 62.60, and this was just a very small bounce. So I think Bitcoin's bullish momentum is very short-lived. And I think that, it should accelerate to the downside. I'm still waiting for some capitulation down to 5K. I don't believe that 6K will hold much longer. I don't understand why people continue to tweet at me with yet another person saying how we're ready for the next bull run. Look, everyone has been calling for the next bull run. Like, every day I get 2 or 3 people, almost nobody. I get, let's just say for the time being, I'm getting 3 to 4 more messages telling me how wrong I am about my low-end targets, and how another, silly analyst is predicting new all-time highs being imminent. Until that ratio reverses, what you're telling me is I need to be more bearish. You people have to understand that as long as you continue to try and convince me that it's time for the price to go up, you're telling me that it's time for the price to go down. I don't think you understand how markets work. So just a heads up, me and Tyler need to talk about this some more on our Trading Bitcoin shows. So please continue to send me your bullish perspectives, because you're basically helping me understand where we're going. And it's to the downside. The 4-hour chart isn't really useful. The 12-hour chart is on a bearish count below this red line, which sits at 2680. We should accelerate the downside. The 4-hour chart, stopped right around the 9. So the 4 candle correction is about to come to an end. So expect more downside on a 4-hour chart. The 1-hour chart just went bearish on the current hour. If you're trading the sequential system, a red 2 just went below a red 1. The 12-hour chart still has 4.5 more candles of downside. And the daily chart, just wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow you should have a red 3 going below a red 2, and that sets you up for a short trade. So everything is pretty much going short. The 10-minute chart is useless. The S&P 500 weekly chart has pulled back a little bit, but it's only Wednesday. Let's see what happens. Like I said, this run was going to come to a short-term end because of the 9 sequential on the daily. But your weekly has played its 1 to 4 candle correction. I am going to expect, a bunch of buying going into end of summer. And gold continues to go down. And yep. Oh, this is not good for gold. Gold is looking very bad. So below this blue line, once gold falls below, let's say 1225 or something, it's probably over, and expect gold to go to new lows. That's pretty much it for me, guys. Don't forget to check out tonebase.com. And my next workshop is coming up in Boston on August 4th. And then Vegas. Vegas should be a lot of fun. And then Chicago. These are going to be my last 3 workshops in all of North America for the rest of the year. So if you were considering attending one of my workshops in North America, Canada, or US, this is it. These are your only choices. There will not be any more workshops until January in North America.
When are you back in Toronto?
I don't know. I probably can't because September 1st, I leave for Europe, and then Asia, and then Australia, and then South America. So I have no plans for Canada the rest of the summer. So it looks like I won't make it back to Toronto until next year, unfortunately.
It's going to be sauna season.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait, man. That gets me to Toronto more often. Your saunas there are awesome.
Tone, you in Las Vegas sounds very dangerous. Just gonna put that out there. We'll see what ends up happening there. Great. Well, everybody, I think you guys are still on screen share. There we go. Thank you for watching. I am gonna say Stretno Hrvatska, Ugadan Dan, Volum Hrvatsko. Yes, underdog. I don't know why everybody's so upset with me about this one, but just gonna put that one out there. Rodolfo, thank you so much for joining. That was a really interesting conversation. Thank you.
Yep. If anybody wants to see my shit posting, just go on @NVK on Twitter. That's where most of comes out.
Awesome. And all the projects you're involved with. I keep seeing pictures. I can't wait to the rollout officially. And so we'll get updates from you. And have fun being a cowboy.
And check out Open Dimes. That's one of Rodolfo's projects. I have them on my desk. Open Dime and Cold Card. Big fan of your work, man. But yeah, Leah and I are gonna go the other way there on football today. I am rooting for the UK, and there you go.
I'm cheering for Croatia, and I need to get this off because this hat gets hot. I am not built to be a cowboy.
Hey, Tone, can you name 2 players on the English team?
Oh God, no.
Okay. Good fan. All right.
All right, guys. Take care.
Bye,
guys. Thank you for watching. You can listen to this later on the audio podcast. And good luck. I hope everybody watches the World Cup today. Thanks so much.